when you think about the birth of punk rock, your mind probably jumps straight to the mid-70s, right? You're thinking the Ramones in New York, the Sex Pistols kicking up a storm in London. I mean, that's the story we all know. But what if I told you that that story, the official history of punk, is missing its very first and maybe its most revolutionary chapter? Yeah, that missing chapter is exactly what we're diving into. It's a story that doesn't just add a little detail, it completely rewrites the punk timeline. It's a secret history that was buried, hidden from the world for over 30 years. So on one hand, you've got the story we've all heard. The Ramones, the Sex Pistols, punk's Big Bang happening in '76 in New York and London. But then there's this secret history. It points to a totally different place and a totally different time. A band called Death from Detroit all the way back in 1974. Let's dig in. Okay, so this is a real punk rock mystery. It's about three brothers, a sound that literally nobody had ever heard before, and how they just vanished. Way before punk even had a name, you had the Hackney brothers, David on guitar, Bobby on bass and vocals, and Dannis on drums. They were holed up in their bedroom in Detroit, just cranking their amps and creating something that was absolutely on fire. They were like a self-contained revolution in one room. So you have to wonder, where did this sound even come from? Well, it was born from this wild mix of Detroit's raw energy, its incredible music scene, and, a really deep personal tragedy. I mean, just look at what they were listening to. They were soaking up everything that was happening in Detroit. You had the pure proto-punk power of the Stooges and MC5, the insane guitar skills of Jimi Hendrix, the catchy hooks of The Who, and even the over-the-top stage presence of Alice Cooper. They just mashed it all together into something brand new. Now, about that name. After their father passed away, David, who was really the band's visionary, insisted they call themselves Death. And yeah, it sounds shocking, but for him, it wasn't about being dark or morbid at all. It was this deep statement about life, about changing, and about pushing through the hard stuff. The name itself was a punk rock move, before punk rock was even a thing. And this brings us to this huge make or break moment in their story. They had a real shot at stardom, a real shot at the big time, but it all hung on this one single word that they refused to give up. And check out how fast this all went down. In 1974, they're in a legendary studio recording these mind-blowing tracks. By '75, the one and only Clive Davis from Columbia Records hears them and wants to sign them. But he has one condition. You gotta change the name Death. But in '76, David says, no way, the deal is off. And just like that, their shot at the mainstream, it was gone. So, with no major label, what do? Well, you press your own record. They put out a single called Politicians in My Eyes. And this number? 500. That's it. That's how many copies they made. It was their one and only release, and it pretty much went nowhere. After that, the band just faded away. The brothers moved on, started other projects, and then, tragically, David Hackney, the heart and soul behind their sound and their vision, he passed away in 2000, completely unaware that his music would ever find an audience. He thought it was forgotten forever. But here's the thing. That is not where this story ends. Not even close. In a twist that sounds like it's straight out of a movie, the next generation, along with the power of the internet, was about to bring this music back from the dead. So how did this resurrection happen? Well, it started with rumors. Bobby Hackney's sons kept hearing these stories about their dad's old band, this loud, fast thing he used to do. Then a record collector, totally by chance, finds one of those original 500 singles and posts about it online. That little digital breadcrumb led the family to search, and they found the original master tapes, perfectly preserved by David in an attic. And finally, in 2009, Drag City Records released the album, and the world just went, whoa. So it's an incredible story of rediscovery, for sure. But why does it still matter so much today? Well, because it does nothing less than rewrite the entire history of rock music as we know it. The legacy of Death is just massive. I mean, first, they completely blow up the accepted timeline of punk. They also force us to talk about a crucial racial dimension in punk's origins that often gets ignored, highlighting the huge contributions of Black artists to rock music. And maybe most importantly, their story is just this powerful, unbelievable testament to sticking to your artistic guns over chasing a paycheck. In the end, David's vision was proven right. You know, the story of Death is this incredible reminder that sometimes the most revolutionary sounds are born in secret, just sitting there, waiting for the right moment when the whole world is finally ready to listen. It's a story of a sound that was decades ahead of its time, but one that finally, thankfully, found its moment for the whole world to see.